G'day everyone, Oz Hunt here. I keep getting asked about people wanting to know how to use a float with a squid jag, right? So, I do that quite often. There's lots of ways to do it. First of all, we'll show you my rod. That's a joke. All my rods, I put a snap swivel on the top. Just a little snap swivel, you can probably see that there. Makes life easy, you can just hook anything you want on there. And this rod's about a 7-foot rod, so 2100 high is what I'm using. And I use that on the boat. You can use it off land or wherever you want. Get yourself a typical float. These are usually weighted on the bottom, and you put your line all the way through. Now what I do, just some cheap 15-pound line is all you really need. Any sort of cheap brand will do. Now I run about 6 foot, 7 foot, so roughly that, full arm stretch and a bit more, okay, is what you're looking for. So cut that off, don't use your teeth, you ruin them like I've done mine. Very, very simply, all you do is you make your loop. Now I'll get in a bit close so you can see a bit of this. I fold it over about that much, give it a few twists like that, right? And then when you do your loop and you go over like that and you put it through the first time, right? I don't know if you can see that. Then you put it through a second time, okay? Put it through a second time. So what you've got is your normal granny knot, but a second time through, okay? Give it a lick, always give it a lick. If you lick it, you own it. All right? And then you can cut that little tag off. But you've got yourself a nice little loop now that will go on that snap swivel. Okay? We'll cut that little tag off. And that knot won't go anywhere, okay? So then you've got that end. What I then do is on this end, right, I'll thread the float through, okay? So obviously you want that to the bottom. So you start at the top, push it all the way through. Out it comes, right? And you can take that all the way to the loop, okay? So you've got your loop there. Your loop acts as your stopper. So you can adjust your drop to whatever you want. Now I've done a 6 to 7 foot drop there, okay? If you're fishing in water that's 30 feet deep and you want to go down, 15 feet, make a 15 foot long. It doesn't matter. A lot of the stuff that I do where I fish for squid I'll be in about 12 feet of water, 15 feet of water. So a 6 foot drop brings me down about halfway down the column. Perfect, and even in shallower water where I'm in 8 foot of water, all right, and I'll come to that in a second. So on this bottom end here, I put a swivel, all right, a little slap swivel. We all use these. They're cheap, they're effective. Just a little snap swivel, okay. So I tie that end of the line to the swivel. Now, there's lots of different ways of tying it. I have my own little way of tying it. I go through twice, right? I go through twice, I make a loop like that, and then give it a twist half a dozen times. And I don't use braid for this. You got to use nylon. Give it a little lick so it slides. Pull it through. That's a nice little knot on there now. That's not going to go anywhere. Again, cut that little tag off. So what you've got now is that, and your float can run up and down on that all the way. It runs up and down as you want. Now on this, you attach your squid jag. pop your squid jag on there. Okay, so now what you've got effectively is it can go down 6 feet. Right, your float will sit up there. It can, that will sit at the top of the water. Right, your squid jag will be 6 foot down below, and it'll be hanging off of that and just floating around in the water. Now, as an addition to that, what I do is I add, and I've pre-made a little one here. It's very, very simple. Just a little bean sinker, just a tiny little bean sinker, about 450 mil, 500 mil, 600 mil, doesn't really matter, of line. All right, about that far. And what I do then is I'll take the squid jag. Well, I'll actually leave the squid jag on so you can see where I want you to attach it. Okay, there's your snap swivel. Okay, with the squid jag. Where your line is attached there, attach this line. Okay, so what you're doing effectively is, and I don't mean make a knot that's unbreakable. I'm talking about making a knot that's very, very simple. Just your little granny knot, you know, like your kids tie your shoelaces. The ones that we say, if you don't know knots, tie lots. Tie 2 or 3 of those like that, nice and loose. The reason being, when you're in shallow water, or when you're in above the weed, right, where the squid love to be, what do? This will, okay, I'll go back here where you can see. This will effectively weigh it down so it just flicks all over the top of the weed, and this will bounce around without getting caught in the weed. And that's actually really, really good way. Even if you're not using a float, you're just flicking it, you'll feel the weed touching that little bean sinker, but not the squid jag. So even if the little bean sinker gets caught in the weed, it'll break off. Usually I use really, really light line for that, so that it can break off and you don't lose your good squid jag. Now I only use cheap squid jags, but effectively that's what you do. And then all you're doing is attaching that to your main line, and away you go. Chuck it out the back of the boat, chuck it out the back wherever you're fishing. You can be fishing somewhere else for something else, and you know there's squid around off a jetty or a pier. Chuck the float out, let it sit in the rod over there. You'll soon know when that gets pulled under that you've got a squid. All right, so I hope that helps, guys. I hope that was informative. Thanks very much.